I've written the story in a reusable document format for your YouTube channel. Three men cornered the CEO, then the quiet single dad at table 12 stood up. The entire restaurant fell silent when three large men blocked the exit and surrounded the CEO near the front counter. Forks stopped halfway to mouths. Conversations died instantly. Chairs creaked as nervous customers turned to look. The tension in the air was so thick it felt impossible to breathe. The CEO stood alone, trapped between the men and the glass doors. No one moved. No one spoke. Most people lowered their eyes and hoped someone else would step in. But at table 12, a quiet single dad slowly put down his coffee. And what happened next changed every life in that restaurant forever. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs inspiration today, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that touch the heart. It was a rainy afternoon in Chicago, Illinois. The restaurant was busy with office workers escaping the weather and families enjoying late lunches. Near the window sat Nathan Brooks, a 38-year-old single father raising his 11-year-old son alone. Nathan was the kind of man people rarely noticed. His clothes were clean but worn. His hair was slightly messy from long workdays. His hands carried the marks of years spent repairing machinery at a manufacturing plant. Every afternoon after work, he stopped at the same restaurant for coffee before heading home to help his son with homework. Most customers never remembered seeing him. Nathan preferred it that way. Life had taught him to stay quiet. 5 years earlier, his wife, Rebecca, had passed away after a sudden illness. The loss shattered his world. Overnight, he became both mother and father to young Ethan. There were months when bills piled up faster than paychecks. There were nights when Nathan skipped meals so his son could have enough. There were mornings when exhaustion felt heavier than concrete. But he never complained. He simply kept moving forward. On that rainy afternoon, Nathan sat alone at table 12 reviewing bills while waiting for his coffee refill. Across the restaurant sat Victoria Hayes, the CEO of one of Chicago's fastest-growing technology companies. Victoria was only 42 years old but had built a multi-million-dollar business from nothing. Newspapers often described her as brilliant, fearless, and unstoppable. What they never reported was how lonely success could become. Victoria spent most of her days in meetings, negotiations, and constant pressure. That afternoon she was meeting an attorney regarding a major business acquisition. The meeting ended, and her attorney left. Victoria remained behind to answer emails before returning to her office. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Until the three men entered. The first man was tall and broad-shouldered. The second wore a dark jacket and carried an expression that immediately unsettled nearby customers. The third remained silent as they walked directly toward Victoria. Within seconds they surrounded her table. People noticed. No one intervened. At first, their conversation seemed tense but controlled. Then voices grew louder. The men appeared angry. Victoria stood and attempted to leave. The three men blocked her path. Fear spread through the restaurant. Employees looked toward management. Management looked toward security. Security was nowhere in sight. The customers remained frozen. Everyone understood something was wrong. Nobody wanted to become involved. At table 12, Nathan watched quietly. His first instinct was the same as everyone else's. Stay out of it. He had responsibilities. He had a son waiting at home. He couldn't risk trouble. Yet as he looked around the room, he noticed something that bothered him deeply. Everyone was waiting for someone else to act. Nobody was willing to become that person. The memory of Rebecca suddenly returned to him. Years earlier, she often told him that courage wasn't the absence of fear. Courage was doing the right thing despite fear. Nathan stared at his coffee. Then he stood. No dramatic speech. No announcement. No attempt to attract attention. He simply stood and walked forward. Every eye in the restaurant followed him. The three men barely noticed him approaching. Nathan calmly positioned himself near Victoria and asked if everything was okay. The simple question changed everything. The men turned. For a moment, surprise crossed their faces. They clearly hadn't expected anyone to interfere. Victoria looked relieved. Not because Nathan appeared intimidating. He didn't. But because someone finally cared enough to step forward. The tallest man warned Nathan to mind his own business. Several customers expected Nathan to retreat. Instead, he remained calm. He neither threatened nor argued. His steady presence alone disrupted the situation. Something about his confidence unsettled the men. Nathan wasn't acting brave for attention. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He simply refused to abandon another human being. Within moments, restaurant staff gathered nearby. Several customers finally stood as well. The atmosphere shifted. The three men realized they no longer controlled the room. When courage appeared, it became contagious. One person stood. Then another. Then another. Suddenly the men were no longer facing a frightened CEO. They were facing an entire restaurant. After a tense few minutes, they left. Police arrived shortly afterward and took statements. The danger was over. Customers slowly returned to their tables. Conversations resumed. Life appeared to continue normally. But for Victoria Hayes, nothing about that day felt normal. As she prepared to leave, she approached Nathan. He expected a simple thank you. Instead, Victoria asked him to sit with her for a few minutes. Nathan hesitated but agreed. What followed was one of the most unexpected conversations of his life. Victoria asked about his family. Nathan spoke about Ethan. He shared stories about raising his son alone. He described working long shifts and struggling to balance everything. Victoria listened carefully. For the first time in years, someone seemed genuinely interested in his story. When Nathan finished, Victoria smiled. She told him something surprising. The reason she appeared calm during